Hi, I'm Miranda Leopold. I'm a senior. I worked with the Monday Wednesday group with two other people, and our topic of focus was gymnastics, forward rolls and cartwheels, but mostly forward rolls. So for the 2 and 3-year-olds, for the initial stage, I noticed that they were distracted, mostly just wanted to play. I didn't have an incentive the first 2 days. I didn't have a bat or anything for them to want to come over, but the colorful mat was enough for them to, come over, but I would have to go and grab them and bring them over. I noticed they were over-exclusive, so, they didn't pay attention to the right thing. They thought the wood chips were more interesting than forward rolls. And same with elementary stage, the 4-year-olds, they were also over-exclusive. There wasn't that much of a difference between attention levels until I noticed later on there was, but in the beginning it was just can't grab any kids to come over and work with me. But they were slightly less distracted. They would focus a little, but they just wanted to play. So my initial evaluations, I noticed that most of the kids, they responded better to hands-on learning. So if I was like, hey, do a forward roll, they were like, what? Like if you hand them a bat or something, they're supposed to hit a ball or hit something. With a mat, they just thought the mat was like a trampoline and they could just jump around. So I noticed I had to be more hands-on, like put them in the spot they needed to be in, be verbal, but also just like bend them over, put their hands on the ground, reach into your chest. Like I said, most of them didn't really know what a forward roll was. A lot of their personality had to do with their willingness, which you probably noticed in other groups too, where they come up to you, stay with you. I had a couple of shy kids who actually stayed with me too, so them being reserved, like the other group said, they wanted to listen and wanted to learn. I had the incentive the last day, but it just brought them over. It didn't really keep them. But the more kids I had, they wanted to be with their friends, so they came over. So after instruction, they were more willing to participate once they knew what they were doing, and they had a better understanding of what I asked them. Still a short attention span, trying to keep them there, especially once they mastered the forward roll. Like, once you do a forward roll, you do a forward roll, so then that's it. Difficulty keeping them entertained. They wanted to use the mat for other stuff than what it was meant for. So, first video I'm going to show you. Well, that was a really good forward roll. He did it standing up. This was just telling them what to do. The older kids actually knew what to do. She probably had a background. And then Nico, when he saw her, he also did it. But that girl was just, I don't know what she was doing. She was using it for not what it was meant for. And then this was me trying to be hands-on with a little limp noodle.
Side roll.
So similarities and differences. I did notice some differences between 3 and 4-year-olds once I started getting them rolling and moving and being a little more hands-on with them. They needed more reminders. Like I said, they were over-exclusive, so I'd be like, hey, do a forward roll, they do it, and then forget that they were doing forward rolls and start doing other stuff. They needed more help. It took them longer to remember and get the gist of it. They were not as self-aware of their body and what it could do as the 4-year-olds. The 4-year-olds, I could tell them once or twice, and they remembered like the chin to their chest, standing up, hands on the ground. The 3-year-olds, we would do a forward roll, and they'd come up and they'd go on their knees and put their hands on the ground, and I was like, that's not what we've been doing. While the 4-year-olds did have a higher attention span, it wasn't by that much. And my other video. So that video I just showed you was me being hands-on with her. It kept doing it from the side instead of from behind, which typically work better.
Want to try a forward roll over here?
Try it one more time, Christian. By yourself. We're always trying to be here. Come on, Christian. Oh, good job. Okay, Ian, put all the way over. Go. So you can see he had a higher command than some of the other kids. The other kids were just running around, not really doing the forward rolls, and even though they were getting in his way, he kept on rolling. So, oh, those are pictures, and now they're playing. That's wild. Okay. So for boys and girls, I didn't really notice much of a difference between them. I don't think the boys really saw gymnastics as like a girl's sport. I feel like kids feel that's how kids see it when they're a little older, maybe like elementary school. They just saw it as tumbling around. So boys and girls both, I feel like, had the same skill level. The girls did tend to stick around a little longer. I think they saw it more fun, while the boys kind of ran over to the baseball, which is right behind me. But then when we moved on to the cartwheels, the girls were a little more coordinated than the boys when it came to the cartwheels. I mean, the girls still couldn't do a cartwheel, but it looked a little more recognizable as a cartwheel than the boys did it. So teaching patterns, like I said before, it worked more hands-on than verbal. So I tell them to put their feet on the floor, put their hands on the floor in front of them, chin to their chest, and then push and roll over. The first couple times I did it with the kids where I was not as hands-on and more verbalizing it, they would really jump forward and kind of, get their neck a little bit and didn't really put their chin to their chest. I had the mat sloping downward, so the momentum would help them flip. And some of the kids would see it, they would start from the top, and then when they get to the bottom, they try to do a forward roll up the mat. And I don't think they noticed that it was sloped, so I didn't really pay attention to that. But then, you'd have to grab and say, oh, do it from the top, and then they would do it, and they would do a good job. With him, all I had after we did it a couple times, all I'd have to do was get him in the initial position, and then he would put his chin to his chest and roll over. She was one of our best. She stayed with us the longest. She was the one who tried the cartwheels as well. For the teaching style, for the teaching pattern for the cartwheel, it was a little harder. We had Professor Anderson help us with that a little bit. I tried to just do it for them, and it didn't really catch on to it. And then Professor put a block on the ground and was trying to teach them if they kept their hands there and jumped over. It worked a little, but I feel like 3 days isn't enough to teach someone a kid a cartwheel, especially because most of the other kids were still working on the forward rolls. After the technique was mastered, just being verbal and telling them, hey, do a forward roll, they were able to do it. And then after the forward roll was pretty much perfect, we tried to add a step. Since the cartwheel seemed a little too difficult, we tried to get them to stand up. So do the forward roll and then stand up afterwards. Which only a couple of them caught on to, and it wasn't really a fluid motion.
Okay.
You do better.
Nice.
Oh, very good.
Cool.
She used her hands to stand up, even though we taught them just to stand up right after the roll. She did a good job, and then she was done and she left. This is our attempt at teaching the cartwheel. Hey, look like this. Put your hands down. Yeah. So for the self-confidence, concept, and esteem, I try to build them up with compliments before I did their critique. Something I've learned with my job is to do like an Oreo sandwich. So like you do the compliment, then the critique, then a compliment again. So they respond well, because if you just critique them, they don't feel like they're doing well. But if you only give them compliments, then they're not gonna improve. So a lot of it would be like, wow, that was so good. Let's try it again, but this time push off a little more. Or that was awesome. Now let's do it again and stand up afterwards. So a little bit of both, and they seem to all respond pretty well to that. Because they're like, wow, I did so great, maybe I can do better this time. Tone of voice was important. That was something I probably struggled with, because I really wasn't that excited for their forward rolls, but you had to pretend like you were excited for their forward rolls. They also, once they got a sense of independence, they seemed to be more into it. Like once they got it, they wanted to keep doing it. Once they mastered it, they wanted to, oh, let's stand up, oh, let's add this other part to it. And the more they felt like they were succeeding, the more they wanted to participate. Some closing thoughts. The forward rolls were easy to learn, but the cargos took a lot more time. Incentives brought them there, but didn't keep them there. They needed a reminder every day, so even if they mastered it, on the third day I still have to remind them once or twice how to do it, and then they were fine. And then I did note, like I said, there was a difference between 3- and 4-year-olds, but I did not notice the difference between boys and girls.
Questions, comments? What are you going to do when you grow up?
I'm going to do business, sports management. I'm not going to work with kids.